The Subaru XT Coupe has always been the kind of car that you either love or hate. The exterior is unlike anything else on the road, and the interior looks like a jet fighter. Unfortunately, the performance has never been up to snuff. But Subaru intends to change that, and so the 88 XT gets a load of refinements, including a model with a new 6-cylinder engine. But with it also comes a new name, the XT6. We recently drove the newest version of Subaru Sports Coupe, and here are our first impressions. The new XT6 replaces last year's XT Turbo. That means a turbo 4-cylinder is no longer available. Here's the replacement, a 2.7-liter horizontally opposed 6-cylinder engine. Horsepower stands at 145, up 30 from last year's XT Turbo. The only other place you'll find a flat 6 these days is in a Porsche. While the XT6 is no Porsche, it is a lot quicker than its 4-cylinder predecessors, with 0 to 60 times in the 9-second range. That's 2 seconds faster than the last Turbo XT we tested, despite the fact that the XT6 is 110 pounds heavier than before. Other mechanical changes include a new computer-controlled power steering system and a redesigned front suspension. As in all Subarus, 4-wheel drive is available. In this case, it's Subaru's viscous coupling or active system, which automatically directs traction to the wheels that need it. All this combines to make the XT6 both quick and stable, though to say that it finally handles like a sports car might be a bit premature. It's better to say the XT6 behaves like a good mid-size sedan, even if it does look like a sports car. Inside, the XT6 gets new, less Japanese-looking upholstery, and a new cassette stereo with a graphic equalizer is standard equipment. But the most significant interior change is the replacement of Subaru's much maligned digital instruments with conventional analog units, a change we think is long overdue. Of course, these are just first impressions. A full road test is due soon. So tune in to see if the Subaru XT6 is a real improvement.
Television's Automotive Magazine, with your host, John Davis.
Hello and welcome again to Motor Week 88. We're glad to have you with us. In the trendy yet conservative auto industry, Subaru has always marched to a different drum. No car exemplifies the spirit of independence more than the XT Coupe. But while its striking design and tons of technology have always promised great things, its weak engine and economy car suspension have failed to deliver. So, Subaru has given the car a new engine, a new front suspension, and a slightly altered name, the XT6. The Subaru XT Coupe has always been kind of tough to classify, and this newest one is no exception. The Subaru XT6 is the most powerful XT and replaces last year's XT Turbo. You get a choice of front drive or 2 full-time 4-wheel drive systems. For our test, we chose the most sophisticated all-wheel drive system with the 4-speed automatic transmission. If we were to buy it, it would cost $17,862, with virtually all options included. That means, among other things, air conditioning, power door locks, cruise control, trip computer, tilt wheel, and a 4-speaker stereo to name about half the list. The seats are now covered in a tasteful velour and have large side bolsters. There's an adjustable lumbar support. Height is also manually adjustable for the driver. We can't complain about the seats, but some of our staff hated the motorized automatic seat belt, even though it's the better of possible passive seatbelt evils. The steering wheel tilts and takes the side wing control pods with it, so they're always in the same position relative to the wheel. In addition, the steering column telescopes. With all the adjustments here, there's no excuse for not finding a comfortable driving position. The pod on the left houses the lights, fog lights, rear defroster, and cruise control master switch. Other cruise control buttons are on the steering wheel, which, by the way, is bound to offend some symmetric sensibilities. Here's an interesting feature, a speed alarm that's set with a key, so you get to enforce your speed limits when a stranger is driving your car. The standard trip computer is of the 7-function variety. The equalizer has a band for each function of the trip computer. The AM/FM cassette boasts 20 watts and an electric antenna. There's plenty of ventilation, but the controls to make it all work are kind of odd. You pick the air blend here and control the air conditioning. But temperature control and fan speed are located on the console. The best thing of all about the XT interior is the gauge cluster. The digital gimmicks of yore are gone. It's analog now. Thank you, Subaru. Elsewhere inside, the XT hasn't changed. It's almost a two-seater since the rear seat is for small kids only. In fact, it's more like a package shelf. Thankfully, the rear seat folds down for access to the trunk, although the spare is somewhat in the way. The XT ends up having more luggage room than you'd think. So overall, the XT6 interior is functional, and thanks to the analog gauges and tasteful fabrics, it's not nearly as quirky as before. But the whole point of the XT6 is the 6, and this is it. Car companies don't like it when you say their new 6-cylinder engine is a 4-cylinder with 2 more cylinders added on. But that's the best way to describe this one. The 2.7-liter flat 6 makes 145 horsepower, a fairly healthy amount for its size and a full 25% more than last year's 4-cylinder turbo. It's a lot smoother running, too. To match the engine, the XT6 suspension has also been reworked. Subaru improved the hubs, drive shaft, and struts to withstand the engine's extra power. They also stiffened the springs and added a new power steering system. Steering boost is controlled with an electric pump which increases or decreases driver steering effort depending on the conditions. The result of Subaru's work is a car that, despite its extra 110 pounds, seems to plow and ponder a bit less than did past XT turbos. Our only complaint is with the XT6's steering. Quick steering inputs are too much for the power steering to handle. You end up without power. In acceleration, there's some power to spare. Our XT6 charged to the quarter mile in 17 seconds, finishing at 74 miles per hour. 0 to 60 took 9.8 seconds, a full 2 seconds faster than the last turbo we tested. But then let's not forget the XT6 is also available with all-wheel drive. It may seem out of place in a car with the Subaru's flashy pretensions, but it does make it awfully secure in bad weather. Power goes to all 4 wheels all the time, and the amount varies based on road conditions. The all-wheel drive XT6 with automatic transmission uses hydraulic couplings to hand engine power out to the appropriate wheel. Brakes are also quite good as sedans go. Our XT6 stopped from 55 using only 111 feet of asphalt. On average, stability was good, but the feel was a bit touchy. Overall, XT6 performance is much improved, but it still doesn't feel like a sports car. While the XT6 has a fairly soft ride for an all-wheel drive vehicle, it can feel suddenly harsh on uneven surfaces, such as railroad crossings. Highway ride is quiet, though. We measured only 66 decibels of sound at 55. And despite the added power, economy is not bad. EPA ratings are 19 city, 25 highway. We managed to find 22. We were impressed by the fit of this Subaru's doors, parts, and by its overall finish. And the XT6 shows that Subaru is getting better at conforming to mainstream automotive marketing cues. The headlight washers, while not a particularly useful feature, smacks of European influence. The Subaru XT6 hits us just right with its improved power, improved handling, and better gauges. We also like its all-wheel drive capability, its level of standard equipment, and its fit and finish. But the XT6 disappoints us with its power steering, odd heat and ventilation controls, and overall confusing purpose. It looks like a sports car, but even with its 6-cylinder engine, it doesn't have a sports car spirit. The XT6's closest all-wheel drive competitor is the Toyota Celica All-Track. It's much more expensive, but has more power, more interior room, better controls, and better handling. The XT6's closest sports car competitor is the supercharged Toyota MR2. It has a similar price, true sports car feel, better performance, but much tighter accommodations. The truth is, the Subaru XT6 is trying to live in 2 worlds. Is it a sports car or an all-wheel drive sport coupe? For some of you, the question is academic. The flash of the original XT coupe was very appealing to younger buyers. While the XT6 is a bit more serious than before, it's still in touch with its buyers. After all, they're now a little older and wiser, too.